Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it is very nice to see you today, and I have been looking forward to today for quite a long time, and I know I didn't really get to talk about it. And this is actually going to take you quite a while. You will not be able to finish all of this in class today because we are going to be doing some watercolor. And part of this um, activity you're going to do, the watercolor needs to dry before you can complete it. So, what are we doing is the big question. Well, we are doing what is called, well, I guess it really doesn't have an official name. We are essentially testing your materials. We want to see what things work together and what things don't. Okay, we're going to be making a painting. Our painting is a multimedia painting. So that means the basis of it is paint, watercolor, whatever. I'm not going to use that one. We'll use this one. Okay, so we're going to be watercoloring to give a base coat of color to our whole page. Not today, but that's where we'll start with our painting. And then we're going to build up more colors and details and things like that on top of that with our other materials. But some of our materials might work better underneath the paint, and some of our materials might work better on top of the paint. So today I want you to try combining things with the paint above it and below it. So to do that, we're going to divide up this page to start with. I'm just going to take my lovely handy dandy paintbrush. Yours probably is a little bit skinnier than mine, but that's totally fine. They all work. I'm going to take this page and I'm going to divide it up. So I have a little ruler here and I just want boxes. I need one box for every type of, here we go, one box for every type of material I've got. So I have crayons, markers, oil pastels, colored pencils, and watercolor. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4. Let's say 6. So if I have 6 materials, I need 12 boxes total because you're going to do one version of it where the stuff's underneath and one where it's above. So I'm going to start over here and I'm just going to title my page a little bit. Ooh, that was classy. Good job, Dominic. And I'm going to divide my page roughly in half. This, I think, is a 12-inch. Oh, it's not. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I covered it up. I don't even know. All right. Anyway, I'm going to eyeball it. Okay. So this side is going to be H2O or water on top. And this side's going to be H2O or watercolor under. Okay. So on this side, we need one box for marker, one box for oil pastel, we need one box for crayon, one box for regular pencil, colored pencil, and what am I missing? Oh, let's do one with Sharpie. And then we can also do one with like pen, which could be good. And then you have a spare box if you need another one. Okay, so you could have any number of things. I have loads of things, right? So I have a bazillion boxes. Some of you out there might have Posca pens, right? Does Posca go, does Posca go on top of watercolor? So honestly, whatever materials you have, if you don't have all of these, okay, you probably have at least 4 of them. You probably have oil pastels, a regular pencil, markers, and colored pencil, right? You probably have at least those 4. So make those 4 boxes. For me, I have 1,000 things because I'm sitting here in my house in my studio. So I'm going to do as many tests as I can. So I'm going to test the exact same things on this side. So this one says H2O on top. So for on top, I'm going to start with all the dry stuff. And then what do I have for this last one? Pen. Okay, so I'm going to use a couple of different kinds. I'm going to use one of these, my little Papermate gel pen. I also happen to have just a regular pen around here somewhere. Here it is. This is just your regular everyday ballpoint pen. And then I also have a fancy pen, an R2. And yes, like the Android. And I want to see how this one works as well. So I'm just gonna make some like samples. Okay, so there's the purple one. Here's the regular one. It looks kind of gray, and here's the really fancy one, which looks super duper dark. Right? They may react differently. Okay. So I suggest starting with this side first because you don't actually need paint yet in order to do this side. Okay, I'm literally just going to put water on top. You can also put watercolor on top, but it's not necessary. Regular water will work great for this. Okay, so I have my paintbrush, right? And it's wet, but it's not like sopping wet. I've got water in here, but it's not tons and tons. But I just have a regular wet paintbrush. So I'm literally just going to like put water on here. Okay, marker. We do not want to paint on top of marker. The instant it gets wet, it's going to start to spread and bleed and be gross. Okay. Clean out my brush. Tap it dry again. Oil pastel. Does anything happen? Nothing. I've got some like crumbly things coming off of it. But if you know anything about science, oil and water don't mix. So I can paint over this oil pastel all I want. Nothing's going to happen. How about crayon? Crayon is wax. Ooh, it's grabbing this color from the marker up here. Maybe you'll be able to see it better. Crayon is wax, and so wax sort of acts like a resist. It seals the paper underneath. But the paint will sort of sit on top of it, so that's something to know, which is great. Again, just clean water. Pencil. Depending on the softness of your pencil, sometimes pencil can smear and spread. My pencil is not particularly soft. It's just a number 2, that normal pencil, you know, that yellow pencil that you work with. It's picking up some of that lead. The lead that would have been like stuck on the side of my hand had I drawn for a long time, that's what's getting mixed into the water right now, and it's just sort of smearing a bit, but it's not really affecting my paper all that much. Clean off the brush. Go to the next one. Colored pencil. Colored pencil is like a wax or a resin based depending on the type that you have, and some pigment will be picked up. You'll have to look at yours to see how it works. My paper is, I don't know if you can see it, but it is turning ever so slightly purple on this side and it's still white over there. So it doesn't like the water per se, but it's also not terrible. Oh, my poor paintbrush. Okay. Sharpie, we can all probably predict this one. Nothing. Sharpie's alcohol based, so it's not going to do a thing. Posca pen. Poscas are full of paint. It's not a pen. It's just in pen form. Okay. Acrylic paint is water-based. Well, it's acrylic-based, I guess. But I'm really having to like scrub this with paint in order for the paper to change color. Okay, there is water in a Posca pen. I don't know how to explain it, but there is. So it can pick it up. Okay. Ooh, all the little hairs from this is a brand new paintbrush, so of course all the little hairs are going everywhere. Sorry. Hopefully your paintbrush will not do this to you. The last one with these pens, I'm really interested to see. Okay, purple pen. Ooh, that's bleeding a lot. I've got nice purple water going on there. This regular Bic pen, nothing. That's interesting. And then this artist pen, super fancy pen, but it's not waterproof. It is making a hot mess. Okay, so next step is to go over these things with color. I went over them with just water to test. Now I'm going to go over them with a watercolor, because watercolor, depending on what kind of chemicals are in your watercolor, they sometimes can react slightly differently. Now, just to review, watercolor is not paint. It should not look perfectly solid like marker or Posca pen or Sharpie or even oil pastel. Watercolor is supposed to be very light in color. So I'm going to go ahead. Ooh, I used like every color, didn't I? I guess I'll use red. I'm going to go ahead and use red. And I'm going to start by putting a lot of water on my paintbrush and going back and forth in this red. This is called charging my paintbrush. I'm not making a hot mess on my palette, as you can see. And if you can look at my bristles, hopefully you can see them, but they are very red. And my paintbrush is not like dripping wet either. It's holding on to it. And even though you've got a little skinnier brush than I do, it'll do the same thing. Okay. So I'm going to take all this paint and I'm actually going to put it in my lid because I don't want tons and tons and tons. If I were to put this on the paper right now, it would be so red. And I don't want that. I want it to be see-through. Okay, so red and blue mix and make purple, right? Watercolor and marker, that was like instantaneous reaction. We don't like that. Clean it out. Scrape or tap it off. Get some more paint. Oil pastel. Okay, the oil resists it, which is great. So that oil pastel, if it's underneath the paint, is really going to pop up through. That's a good thing to know. Clean it off. Get some paint. Crayon. All right, the crayon resists too, and what's sort of interesting about the crayon, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it almost creates like this white outline around it, which is kind of fascinating, actually. I really like crayon and watercolor. Crayon is very easy to control. It's easier and more comfortable for most people than oil pastel. And then it resists and holds its edge really well, so it makes painting a little bit easier. I need some more paint. Put it here. All right, over pencil. So pencil, what's sort of fascinating is that pencil will just sit there. Over here with just water, it would get picked up, right? A little bit because this stuff all faded out. But where it was just pencil, the watercolor like doesn't fade it out. It just sits there. It's very interesting. So pencil, if you don't want to see your pencil lines under your painting, you either have to Sharpie over them like we did, or you have to erase them. Sorry, lost my train of thought. Okay, colored pencil. Is it going to mix? That's the question. It does a little bit. It changes the color a tiny bit if I really scrub it, but that's not what you're supposed to do with watercolor. So I think colored pencil is a success. You can put that one underneath, which is okay. Hopefully, my friends, you are doing your tests along with me. Sharpie. Totally fine. We could have predicted that. Now, Posca. I've never tried watercolor in Posca, so let's see how that goes. Does it still smear even though it's been sitting here for a while? The Posca pen has been sitting for quite a while, and it looks to be staying. It does not look to be getting more and more pale like it was with the water, but that also could be because I'm using red, which is similar to this orange. So I think Posca underneath is acceptable as well. Now, with these pens, as you see, the purple is really spreading. This one's doing nothing in that one. Ugh, disaster. Okay, let's look at this last one here. All of these things got a chance to dry. But this one, the purple one, if I rub it, it does change the color. So something is happening. This one still does nothing. And this one also got a chance to dry. So that's something else to see. How does it look after a long time? Does it need a long drying time or not? These are just bits of information that you are learning about your materials. Okay, so these tests are all done and we learned some things from it, right? Marker, probably not a good idea underneath paint. Crayon, oil pastel, colored pencil, Sharpie, and Posca, those are pretty great underneath. Pencil and pen, who knows? Who knows? All right, now, hopefully you can see where this is going. I'm going to come over on this side. And I'm cleaning out my brush as much as I can. I'm going to pick a new color. I don't know. No, actually, I'll just keep using red, because why not? All right, so I got red now. I'm going to start with water underneath. So I'm going to start by putting watercolor underneath, because watercolor is a substance all in and of itself. Ooh, I put on too much. Good job, Dominic. Way too much paint. Wow! See how dark that is compared to like that? Alright, so I'm just going to spread it out. Because, again, watercolor should be really pale. Alright. Putting this wash of color everywhere. And then this wash of color needs to dry. And for some of you, depending on how much water you used, it may dry really fast. And for others of you, it may take a little while to dry. But you want to put a nice coating of watercolor on everything in all the boxes. You're just painting in a color. And then you want it to dry. Okay. Then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go in the marker box and see, does marker actually write on top of watercolor? Does oil pastel write on it? Crayon, pencil, Sharpie, colored pencil, Posca, and pen. Some of them may, and some of them may not. You never know. There are art materials that don't work together, and some work in some ways better than in other ways. So this, for us, is a learning experience. We're trying to figure out how our materials work together. Okay? Once you've done this, you've done the side where everything's underneath, you've painted this, let it dry, and put the new materials on top. Then, my friends, you photograph this and turn it in. If it was me, what I would do is write some notes. So like this is just my composition choices, right? The back page. I would make some notes for myself here. Like I would say, okay, marker, never under watercolor, right? Oil, pastel, maybe it can do both. Whatever, like write anything that you think helpful, ideas you might have in here. How did your things react? Those of you who do have like weird unconventional materials, like maybe you have Posca pens, maybe you have like little pots of paint sitting around your house, or you've got like funky colored inks like I do, right? Anything works. Heck, you got a highlighter? You can use it on this project if you can make it look nice. Don't just use it to be like, hey, I'll just throw a highlighter on here. No, you want to test it and make sure it looks nice first. Okay, this is all about craftsmanship. Whatever kind of materials you've got, test them, see how they react. You don't have to test every color, but just one. See how it reacts with the paint, either underneath or on top. Make some decisions. Decide, okay, I'm going to use this and this and this on my painting. Okay, you are going to end up using at least 3 materials on your painting. 1 is watercolor, and the other 2 are up to you. So, do your tests, photograph it, turn it in. Okay? That's it. I wish you luck. I can't wait to see what sort of awesome things you tried out. I will see you next time. Next time we are actually going to be painting on our big drawing that we did last time, because we will be prepared finally. Okay? Talk to you later. Bye. Good work.